Somewhere deep in the rainforests of Central and South America, there exists a fly that has evolved one of the most disturbing survival strategies in nature. It doesn't chase its prey. It doesn't rip flesh apart. And most victims never even realize they've been infected until something begins moving beneath their skin. At first, it feels small. A tiny bump, maybe a mosquito bite, maybe an irritated hair follicle. But over the next few days, the swelling grows larger, redder, more painful. Then comes the sensation victims never forget. Movement. Something alive. Inside the body. Not on the skin. Not crawling across it. Inside. Because hidden beneath that swollen flesh, a parasite is growing, breathing, feeding, waiting. This is the botfly, and its entire life cycle depends on invading living flesh. The botfly itself doesn't look particularly terrifying. In fact, if you saw one resting on a wall, you might not even notice it. It resembles an ordinary fly. Small, hairy, almost harmless looking. But appearances mean nothing in nature. Because the horror of the botfly isn't the adult insect. It's what the insect leaves behind. You see, the botfly has evolved a strategy so efficient, so disturbing, that scientists consider it one of the most advanced parasitic systems in the insect world. Unlike mosquitoes, the botfly doesn't bite humans directly. Instead, it kidnaps other insects, most commonly mosquitoes. The female botfly catches a mosquito in midair and glues her eggs onto its body using a sticky biological adhesive. Then she releases it. The mosquito flies away completely unharmed, still searching for blood, still behaving normally. But now, it has become something far worse. A delivery system, a flying parasite carrier. And when that mosquito finally lands on human skin, body heat triggers the eggs to hatch instantly. Tiny larvae emerge within seconds. And before the victim even notices the mosquito bite, the larvae begin crawling into the skin, not through open wounds, not through cuts, directly through hair follicles, skin pores, or the bite itself. And the terrifying part is, most people feel absolutely nothing. Days pass. The victim goes home. Everything seems normal. But beneath the surface, the parasite is already growing. The human body becomes a living incubator, a safe environment filled with warmth, moisture, nutrients, and protection from predators. Exactly what the larva needs. And slowly, a lump begins forming beneath the skin. At first, it looks harmless, but the swelling continues increasing. Pain begins to develop. The skin stretches tighter. And then victims start noticing something deeply disturbing. A tiny hole at the center of the swelling. A dark opening, small enough to ignore. But that hole serves a horrifying purpose. It's not a wound. It's a breathing tube. Because the creature inside needs oxygen to survive. The larva positions itself beneath the skin with its rear end facing upward, using the hole to breathe. And as days turn into weeks, the parasite grows larger and larger inside the body, alive the entire time. Some victims report occasional sharp, stinging pain. Others describe pressure beneath the skin. But the most terrifying reports all describe the same sensation. Movement. The feeling of something twisting beneath the flesh. Something turning. Something alive reacting to touch. Because unlike infections or cysts, this parasite is conscious. It responds to temperature, pressure, movement, light. And in some cases, people have actually watched their skin move. Tiny ripples beneath the surface as the larva shifts position. Trying to breathe. Trying to feed. Trying to survive. But what makes botflies truly horrifying is how perfectly designed they are for this environment. The larva's body is covered in rows of microscopic backward-facing hooks. Once inside the skin, those hooks anchor it firmly in place. The deeper it grows, the harder it becomes to remove. Trying to pull it out carelessly can rip the larva apart. And that creates another problem. If fragments remain trapped inside the skin, serious bacterial infections can develop, sometimes requiring surgery, which means doctors often have to remove the parasite slowly and carefully. And the method they use sounds like something from a horror film. First, they cut off its oxygen supply. Petroleum jelly, tape, wax, even nail polish. Anything that seals the breathing hole. At first, nothing happens. Then eventually, the larva begins panicking, desperate for air, slowly forcing itself upward toward the surface, trying to escape suffocation. And only then can doctors grab it with forceps and pull it free, alive, still moving. Sometimes after weeks inside a human body. Fully developed botfly larvae can reach nearly an inch long, large enough to clearly see legs, hooks, and body segmentation. And despite how horrifying this sounds, human cases happen every year, especially in tropical regions where botflies are common. Travelers are particularly vulnerable because many don't recognize the symptoms early enough. Some victims mistake the swelling for spider bites, infected pimples, boils, or allergic reactions, completely unaware that a living parasite is growing underneath. There have even been documented cases where people ignored the infection for weeks, until they saw movement with their own eyes. But humans are not the botfly's primary target. In nature, these parasites infest countless animals: monkeys, dogs, birds, rodents, cattle, deer. Entire livestock industries suffer economic damage because of botfly infestations. Animals become weaker, injuries become infected, milk production decreases, weight loss increases. Not because the parasite kills instantly, but because parasites rarely work that way. Nature often prefers slow damage, long-term exploitation, maximum survival efficiency, and the botfly may be one of evolution's most successful examples. Because every stage of its life cycle has been optimized. The mosquito transports the eggs. Body heat activates them. Human flesh protects them. The breathing hole sustains them. The hooks defend them. Everything works together with terrifying precision. Millions of years of evolution created a parasite capable of turning another living creature into a temporary home. And perhaps the strangest part of all is that the botfly doesn't actually hate humans. It isn't malicious. It isn't hunting for revenge. To the botfly, the human body is simply an environment, a source of warmth, a place to survive long enough to become something else. Because eventually, the larva leaves. After several weeks beneath the skin, it emerges from the body and drops to the ground. Then it burrows into soil, transforming into a pupa. And weeks later, an adult botfly emerges, ready to repeat the cycle all over again. But for many people, the psychological damage lasts far longer than the wound itself. Because once someone experiences a parasite living beneath their skin, ordinary insect bites never feel normal again. Every itch becomes suspicious. Every swelling becomes terrifying. And that fear touches something ancient inside the human brain. A survival instinct older than civilization itself. The fear of infestation. The fear that your own body is no longer fully yours. Even today, scientists continue studying parasites like botflies to better understand biological adaptation, host manipulation, immune system evasion, and evolutionary survival strategies. Because horrifying as they are, parasites represent some of the most advanced survival systems on Earth. They don't need strength. They don't need speed. They survive through infiltration, patience, precision, and invisibility. Right now, somewhere in a rainforest, another mosquito is searching for blood, completely unaware that it's carrying something microscopic on its body, something waiting for warmth, waiting for skin, waiting to enter a living host. And somewhere, someone is about to feel a tiny mosquito bite, without realizing that what touched them was never the real threat. The real threat is what comes after, something alive, something growing inside you.